like there's a message embedded in the signal. Let me work my magic.
Project Iceman.
What's Sector 7?
Who's Captain?
Take 2, open up!
So by now, I'm sure many of you guys are aware of the lawsuit that has been going on between Take-Two Interactive and some programmers who essentially reverse engineered GTA 3 and Vice City for projects called RE3 and RE Vice City. But if you're out of the loop of what is going on, I'm going to do my best to give you a short summary of the lawsuit and what's going on here. From my understanding, the developers of the reverse engineered projects were essentially taking the code from the old games and rewriting it to modernize it. They weren't exactly just copying it straight up. And along with that, the games would have tons of different fixes and features, for example, instant controller compatibility, no loading screens between islands, proper widescreen support, and even a map of Liberty City in the pause menu of RE3, which the original GTA 3 game never had. And thanks to the reverse engineered projects, it would allow the game to be ported to the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Wii U. Well, with the recent news about Rockstar developing remasters of the original GTA trilogy, and with it coming to the Switch as well, that was another rumor, you can assume that Take-Two Interactive wasn't very fond of these projects, as it could potentially take away some of their market share from the actual published versions by the copyright holders themselves, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and so they filed a DMCA takedown to have them taken offline a few months back. Then apparently a counter DMCA was filed with the reason that because the code isn't exactly copied directly from the old games, but rather rewritten to function similarly, that they hold no ownership to it, which brings us to the recent lawsuit news that has brought even more bad reputation to the Take-Two Interactive brand. Lots of people are very angry at Take-Two for doing this, understandably, and we'll definitely get to my thoughts on the situation a little bit later after we cover the initial plotline of this saga. So they're now suing the creators of RE3 and RE Vice City, like an actual lawsuit that will go to court. I'm not going to go into detail of the document of the lawsuit filing just because I'm not a lawyer and I don't really understand it fully, to be honest, but I'll have a link to it in the description if you want to read it yourself. But that's where we're at right now, and it's caused like a chain reaction within the community. Like a lot of other mod makers, for example, like the GTA Underground team recently shut down in fear of Take-Two targeting them next, I believe. The situation just sucks, really. I fully understand that they are the owners of the Grand Theft Auto IP, and they have a right to do what they're doing, and that reverse engineering is against the terms of service, but it's kind of a gray area. But there's the old saying that just because you have a right to do something, it doesn't necessarily make it the right thing to do. Let me give you an example. Let's say right here on YouTube, I create a thumbnail for a video that I create. And then later, someone much smaller than my channel size comes along and uses that exact same picture that I used for my thumbnail without my permission. Theoretically speaking, I would have the right to then issue a strike to that person for copying and using my stuff. But in that situation, I would just look like an asshole for doing that. Like, I almost have 250,000 subscribers. If I were to go and strike someone much smaller than me with, say, like 10k subs over a thumbnail, that's just a dick move because at the end of the day, it's not really going to affect me in any way, you know? So even though it would be my right to do that, it's just not a morally right thing to do in my opinion. And when putting it into the situation at hand here with Take-Two being this billion-dollar corporation, and these mod makers doing work to improve and preserve these old GTA titles, it just makes Take-Two look like greedy assholes. They're basically looking at modding in the worst way possible in the sense that it only hurts them and doesn't ever help them out, which for GTA Online may not be true, but for other games it's the complete opposite. For example, Rockstar currently sells Vice City, San Andreas, and GTA 3 on their own Rockstar launcher, but the versions of the games they sell are just littered with bugs from a lack of widescreen support so your guns don't actually shoot where your reticle is, mouse control bugs, just a bunch of general nuisances that come with the game due to a lack of optimization for newer operating systems. But it's the members of the modding community that said, you know what, we'll just fix it ourselves then. And there are silent patches that you can get that you can put right into the directory of the game that fixes the issues that Rockstar themselves didn't bother to fix. And at no additional cost, the people that do these things don't do it for profit, they do it out of passion for the games. Some of the most passionate people within the GTA community are these mod developers who make mods for the games that everyone can enjoy, excluding GTA Online modders, of course. Now, how about a modern day example? 5M. The entire reason that your game is always on the top of the Twitch charts, Take-Two, is not due to your own version of GTA Online. No, it's due to modded servers with custom scripts and assets that the community themselves puts work into. And I'll be damned if there isn't a large lump sum of money that you've made from people purchasing GTA 5 on the PC for the sole reason of playing on 5M. In this case, you're profiting off of mods made by the community. How much financial pain would it really cause for these mods of 20-year-old games to exist? It's really hard to say. I'm sure there would be a few people that have the mindset of, oh, I could just use these mods to remaster the old games. I don't need to buy the actual remasters made by the company themselves. But you gotta realize that the people that mess around with the mods, or let alone create mods for games that old, are likely diehard fans of the Grand Theft Auto IP in general, and would probably buy any game pertaining to it when it releases. But now you've basically spit in the face of those same people, and it actually might have an opposite effect, because now you just pissed off all those diehard fans of your game, and now maybe some of those diehard fans decide, you know what, I don't want to support a company who treats their fans like that. And what annoys me so much about this situation is that Take-Two is spending all this time and money to track down and sue modders for 20-year-old games when their current game GTA Online is filled with modders of the opposite effect, that do it for profit and to hurt the game. There are websites selling cheat services that include features for the intention of messing with other players and ruining their game experience. Let me just read you a couple of paragraphs of features directly from a mod menu's website here. Ever had that one annoying, boring friend or that hateful in-game modder that has you triggered and wish you could show them who's boss? Well, go ahead and add them to the session overseer list and decide what their fate will be. A kick? Perhaps a warning on your behalf? Maybe a crash? You make the rules. It just sounds very lovely that someone that I happen to not like in the lobby, I could just crash their game on the spot. How great is that? Or how about this one? Have you ever wanted to block other people in the lobby from doing certain things? Perhaps preventing them from entering vehicles or using weapons at all. Don't worry, we got you covered. Yes, what a nice thing to do, block people from entering vehicles or taking their weapons away. What a generous, very kind-hearted thing to do. And these sites are actually profiting off of this. These mod menus cost money to use. They're getting paid to screw over your game, Take-Two. Modding and cheating in GTA Online has been an issue since its inception on the PC. As a content creator, I can't even stream GTA Online on PC without getting harassed by a modder from a private session, mind you, because the moment they have your Rockstar ID, you're screwed. Now, I'm not saying they should give a shit about me and my interests, but modding in GTA Online has been a detriment to the entire community that plays the game on PC. And I'm sure it's negatively affected the player counts, and if I had to bet, the almighty shark card sale too. But for some reason, instead of targeting people that are intentionally harming their current online game and community, their cash cow, they target modders providing awesome support and improvements for games that even Take-Two and Rockstar have neglected, until of course the rumors of the trilogy remasters, which still aren't confirmed yet. Anyways, that's pretty much it for me. I just wanted to give you guys my take on this whole situation. Take-Two, please rethink what you're doing here. This is a massive slap in the face to your dedicated longtime fans. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go back to getting blown up by space cannons and oppressors in GTA Online.